In all my years of being a gamer, I have never seen such a hot MILF. So Resident Evil Village came out a little while ago, and I, in response, made a video that summed up my experience playing this horrifyingly erotic bonanza. Ah, good times. But how do I feel about this game? I shat on it, kinda, when I talked about Resident Evil 3 and how absolutely fucking disgraceful that was, but I didn't know what the game was gonna be like then, and now I do. So here's my review of Resident Evil Village. Warning, this video is rated M for motherfucking kids not allowed, so if you're a child under the age of 14, I would highly advise against watching this godforsaken review. Unless you don't give a shit and mom is too busy smoking crack, then I really couldn't care less. So this game is definitely a doozy. To start, the formatting gameplay of Village is the same as Resident Evil 7, my Biohazard. It's a first-person horror shooter that has slower analog controls than a grandma at the stoplight. Real quick, I actually just answered the door from a cop who assumed that my grandma was wandering the streets because they found some old lady at night. So to that officer and his patrol partner, thank you for being considerate and putting the pieces together. Of course, the pieces were wrong, but it's the thought that counts. Anyway, so looking a lot like Resident Evil 7 means that this game is a direct sequel, which means our main character is a man named Ethan, or the Frankenstein creature created by Capcom, because this motherfucker cannot die. Unless you let him die, of course, that would suck. So Ethan and Mia, his wife, whom he saved back in Louisiana in 7, are currently living somewhere in Europe with their semi-newborn daughter, Rose. But how did they end up in Europe, you might be asking in confusion? I don't know, let's find out.
Seriously, think we can just forget about what happened in Louisiana?
It happened so long ago. I don't understand why you are so...
FBI, open up! Mia!
What the fuck? So Chris takes both Rose and Ethan somewhere, but the ride gets hijacked and you spawn into the world of Village with nothing more than your bare hands and a need to shit yourself. Now, if you're new to the realm of Resident Evil, you probably entered the Village thinking, man, this is one hell of a place to explore. But if you are a bit of a veteran, you probably know where the Village got recycled from. Resident Evil 4. So you realize this village isn't inhabited by normal fucking people trying to live life the best way that they can, but it's actually inhabited by werewolf people? I don't know, they're called lichens, but that sounds like an off-brand NyQuil, so I'm just gonna call them werewolf fuckers. Anyway, the werewolf fuckers start to really hate you, and you eventually find an old woman who helps you but is also kind of a bitch. Remember that. And so you're introduced to the world of Resident Evil Village. Welcome aboard! Arrgh! Damn, that was a terrible joke. So you explore the village trying to find a way out of the village. A lot like what you would do if you ever found yourself in an Arby's. In the process of looking for an escape, you get captured by Magneto, but duder. And you wake up in a room filled with a puppet that looks like an Annabelle reject, Igor, that metal guy from earlier, Mommy Milky, and the main villain of this entire game, Mother Miranda, the giant MILF lady, otherwise known as Lady Demetrius. Look, I can't fucking pronounce the name, okay? Gets control of you, and your first task of the game becomes escaping this goddamn castle. This portion of the game definitely was recycled from Resident Evil 4, which isn't a bad thing at all. The castle looks beautiful. The design looks great, the atmosphere is perfect for the Mr. X Tyrant style of horror that Lady Demetrius has to offer, and might I add, that's juicy ass. Lady D, that sounds like a porn star name, also has 3 daughters that assist her in recapturing you and killing you through the method of sucking your blood. Oh, did I mention they were vampires? Emphasis on they, because after running through the castle like a goddamn chicken with no head, you finally kill all 3 of Demetrius's daughters, whom she loved very much.
What have you done to my daughter?
Uh-oh. And you also get to kill Demetrius herself, although she doesn't go down without a fight and harsh insults. After escaping the castle, you leave with a jar that has your daughter in it. Oh, you forgot that you were trying to save your daughter? Well, now you know. The Duke, who's the merchant of this game and has no other in-game lore that connects to the story, explains to you that Rose is magically separated into 4 different jars that you need to collect in order to bring her back to life and get the fuck out of there. But here's the kicker. Each jar is in a different area based on the people that you met at the beginning of the game. You know, Sesame Street on hardcore drugs, Igor, Metal Man, and the just murdered internet meme, besides Sam from Samsung, of course. Now is when you realize that you gotta do the same shit 3 more times to beat this game, so it's time to put on a sweater, some adult diapers, and a catheter, because this shit is going to be long. The next person you have to blatantly butcher in order to save your now jarified daughter is Lady Beneviento, the puppet lady. But before that, make sure to explore the village as much as you can. There are plenty of places to get cool stuff and make some cash to buy weapons. Speaking of weapons, upgrading your weapons and purchasing new and better ones is crucial in beating this game, so make sure to do all of that before advancing to each area. Anyway, let's head over to the big, scary, wait a minute, it's just the house! Well, I mean, it can't be that bad then. Oh, their blood, their intestines on the floor. I'm not... Oh, I know that the... Holy fuck-tart! Hello? Son of a bitch! The baby is back! Daddy's taking a fucking nap. Get me the fuck out of here. Nope, fuck you. You big ass fucking baby. You can suck my left titty because you need some milky wilky. Oh shit. Where do I go now? Oh, get me the fuck out of here now. Get me the fuck away from this thing. Get me the fuck away from this thing. Oh. 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 What the fuck? What the fuck? You fucking weird ass baby. Oh, get me the fuck out of here. This place is a fucking disaster. But in a serious review for just 2 seconds, this house isn't as great as it could have been, probably because it was so quick. There are 2 major elements Lady B's house has. Number 1 is what I like to call the spooky, scary baby element that has you searching for stuff while trying to escape the puppet puzzle while a big ass deformed baby chases after you. I can't believe I just fucking said that. And the hide and go seek element of you having to find this puppet bitch, and oh my god, it is so annoying. But that's it. There's no boss battle, no major turn of events, nothing of real importance here besides the seed of doubt being planted between Ethan and Mia's relationship to the crazy shit that happens to them. But the deed becomes done, and after stabbing Lady B in the head as many times as Yuri from Doki Doki Literature Club stabbed herself. Women, am I right? Am I Oh, come on! Why are you booing me? You get the second jar of rose and advance to the next area. At this point, I should mention that there's also treasures that you can go for in this game, and while I totally recommend getting these treasures, they're not important to the story, and you aren't required to obtain them, although they do give you a lot of money. Either way, you're on to the next area to retrieve your daughter in a jar. I am never getting over that. The next person that will suffer at the hands of the all-elite and somehow still alive after getting thrown around like a damn ragdoll Ethan Winters is Moreau, the Igor guy. Honestly, most of this area is useless as it pertains to advancing the story. Moreau is more of a character that advances the is Chris evil or just mentally estranged plot, which we'll get to later. So you go through the windmill mines and track down the jar of rose just to find out that Moreau is actually unstable in whatever form of mutation that is. He turns into a giant fish and Leon has to— wait a minute, this was taken from Resident Evil 4! So you have to do a few things like outrun the giant Moreau fish thing and restore power so that you can flush the water from the dam. And once you do that, you have to face Moreau head to, well, giant fish face. Here's a tip of advice: if you want to take down his health before shooting him, placing down mines is really effective at doing exactly that. Just don't be too liberal with them and place them down too soon, or else this will happen. Oh my god. After a little ring around the rosy, you have officially defeated Moreau in fish form, and you can advance to the final person, Dinkelberg. Oh wait, that's a different video. I mean Heisenberg. Yes, in case you didn't already know from the countless amount of internet memes and fanfics about it, the Metal Man, Magneto Reject himself, is named Heisenberg. But before you can follow the big ass signs that point you to his area, make sure to complete your exploration of the village, because once you enter Heisenberg's factory, you will not be able to backtrack to the village as Ethan. Before going to his illustrious factory, however, you're led to two different places. One is an optional boss that I highly recommend you do because you get some good money and meat from it, and that you can convert into health bonuses. Please do this, it's really useful. But if you are having trouble with those damn vultures from earlier, you will probably hate this battle. And I would also recommend doing this optional boss first because you'll have more of, well, everything. But let's say you're too much of a big pants boy for that, and man, this castle looking place seems like a real adventure. Welcome to the part of the game that has you wasting ammo more than the military does on the Middle East. Oh, come on, you know I'm right. The Stronghold. This place is a conglomerate of ammo-begone mosh pits because it's the home base of the werewolf fuckers from earlier in this game. And boy, is there a lot of these guys. If you don't want to explore too much in your first playthrough like me, the best strategy for this is to just run through the werewolf people as much as you can and shoot when necessary. And I mean necessary. You're going to be using a lot of ammo regardless, but if you fuck up your usage of ammo here, it'll bite you in the ass like an amateur sex partner later in the game. But as long as you preserve your ammo in the first playthrough, the second one doesn't really matter. You can commit mass genocide for all I care. So you use my strategy of run and gun, and you get to the boss of the Stronghold, who happens to be Santa Claus. Yes, the biggest of boys has come to beat the ever-living shit out of your booty hole, so have fun. This boss battle isn't too difficult, honestly, just evade and shoot when he's recalculating. What I mean is that with every swing Crack Horse Santa takes, he needs time to recover and swing again. So hit him with some shotgun pellets when that happens. Also, use your mines and pipe bombs. Those are going to be a huge help, especially when Santa calls in his little elves for some help. Just don't be too liberal with the pipe bombs and throw them while Santa has the high ground, or else this'll happen.
You're not getting away that fast. Oh! Ow! Ow! Red alert! Red alert!
Once you lay waste to Mr. Claus and effectively ruin Christmas, you naughty boy, now it's time to head over to Heisenberg's factory. And I know what you're thinking. I've been through it all. A tall, sexy vampire lady and her thirsty daughters trying to suck the blood out of my body, a failed ventriloquist turned puppet connoisseur playing hide and seek with me while a giant baby chases me down like I haven't paid my child support, some weird fish guy with mommy problems trying to prove his worth in a world where worth means nothing more than toilet paper, and I just got done severing the heads off of a bunch of werewolf fuckers and fucking Santa Claus. I'm not scared of no factory, and quite frankly, I'm disappointed the game has been this mild. If this is what you're currently thinking as you head to the factory, you're going to be in for a huge surprise once you enter. You see, the Duke mentioned earlier in the game that Heisenberg's factory was building shit so abhorrent and horrifying that it was in our best interest to just not imagine what it could be. The Duke didn't say that shit for nothing. So you head over to the factory and sit down with the man himself, and he explains some shit that is really fucking crazy. Essentially, Ethan is being tested by Mother Miranda to see if he would make a good fit in the family that she was building. And you and Heisenberg have a commonality in the fact that both of you don't want to be there and both want to kick some bird bitch's ass. You also realize the reason Mother Miranda wants Rose so badly. It's because Rose is a super powerful being that could fucking kill an entire bioweapon with no struggle. We'll get to that later. So you scuffle with Heisenberg over using Rose as a killing machine, and he throws you into the depths of his factory, and may I say, I think he has a chainsaw fetish. Almost every fucking monster here has a chainsaw of some sort, and they are a bitch to kill. So here's the strategy. If you can just run away from them, do it. Let's be honest, you do not have the ammo to kill everything in this godforsaken hellhole. You just got done killing motherfucking Santa Claus. What makes you think you have the equipment to take down 100 of these things besides your big ass cojones? Run away when you can, kill when necessary. That's the plan. The factory's first floor is just running around trying to find molds to make keys and advance to the next room. You continue to do this until you reach the second floor, which is more or less the same, but now the enemies are harder. great. There's a point in the game where I had to get past the propeller by taking out the orange power sources, and just a tip of advice, make sure you kill the 2 jet chainsaw guys before you advance to the top. It's not worth your time to outrun them. Damn it, there's a bug here. Damn it, there's a bug here. You finally reach the final floor. This is it. The game is almost over. Thank fucking...
Don't come back!
That bastard.
Fuck you. And now Chris's plot gets explained. And in layman's terms, he's not a bad guy. He's just mentally estranged. Chris then explains that Mother Miranda is a bioweapon that can shapeshift into anything and posed as Mia while living in Europe with Ethan. To which I say, damn, that must have been some good sex. Miranda also shapeshifted into the old bitch of a lady that was making our lives harder by giving us riddles to solve what to do next in the story, so fuck her. And Rose is the embodiment of Evelyn, who was the main antagonist of Resident Evil 7, who also happens to be the daughter of Mother Miranda, which technically means that Ethan must have fucked the bird lady, because how else would Rose exist? But before we can answer any questions, Heisenberg still needs to be dealt with, and dealt with he was. Definitely my favorite boss battle of this game. The infinite ammo made me feel safe. So with Heisenberg gone, it seems like all's going well, right?
Miranda, you coward! Come out and face me!
Not a smart thing to say, Ethan, but yep, I figured that was gonna happen.
Don't worry. Your death will come quick. You will join the Megamycetes records.
Wait, that's my
I will
heart.
make sure to sample your blood.
I should be dead. No, I should be dead instantaneously. How am I not already dead?
So Mother Miranda goes full-blown Mortal Kombat on Ethan and rips his heart out, effectively killing Ethan. But wait! It turns out Ethan was actually never alive to begin with in this game. Let me explain. So back in Resident Evil 7, you know, Hillbilly Bonanza, Ethan was supposed to be killed off when trying to save his wife by the Baker's family, and as it turns out, he was. But Evelyn put the mold, which is what makes everyone in this game so fucking powerful, inside of Ethan as a measure to keep him alive. And ever since then, Ethan has just been a body being controlled by the mold, but with a free-thinking mind of his own. That's why he can recover so quickly without really having any long-term effects on his body. Now that's a fucking plot twist if I've ever seen one. But that doesn't matter because now it's time to play as Chris. Not important, not important. No, not important. Ah, there it is. So when playing as Chris, you reach the innards of the mold that oddly looks like a fetus and set a C4 on it that apparently has a nuke's explosive power. You also infiltrate Mother Miranda's lab and realize 2 things. 1, you find Mia. Cool. And 2, you realize that all of the previous characters, Lady Demetrius, Puppet Lady, Igor, and Dinkelberg, were all studied to see which body best fit Evelyn, her daughter. And finally, you realize that Mother Miranda had a direct relationship with the one, the only Oswell motherfucking Spencer. It always comes back to Umbrella, every time. Ethan update, he's still alive, and very much so ready to kick some bird lady ass. And you do exactly that. Heading to the ceremony where Rose is brought back, you fight against Mother Miranda in her full strength, and boy, is it one hell of a boss. It's over. Yeah, if you want to beat Mother Miranda really quickly, max out your sniper power and just use that. It took me 2.5 minutes to finish her off. Just don't be so liberal with your bullets, because being in a battle for too long can lead to this.
I don't resist death. Ow! Ow!
How lucky you are to die before.
Wait, am I supposed to do this? Oh no, I'm dead. Yeah. Fuck me, dude.
Well, that's one big ass boulder down, but there's still one more we need to punch. That damn baby. In a heroic effort, Ethan, knowing that he's essentially killed himself by killing Miranda, I still don't get that, gives Rose to Chris and has them both leave while Ethan stays behind and blows the whole town to smithereens. The game ends on a very now we have to wait for Resident Evil 9 vibe, as the BSAA was involved in the operation on the village, except they were using beefed up mutant boys and Rose is all grown up by the end of the game. So what are my thoughts? I liked it. I didn't love it, and I didn't hate it. If we're talking about the story as it pertains to Ethan and his arc, I feel as though the game still has unanswered questions that should have been answered here and not left to be milked into the next game. Chris's arc in this game was radically underwhelming as well, mainly because I couldn't stop myself from questioning why Chris didn't just tell Ethan that Mia was actually not Mia and was instead a bird lady that can shapeshift. Okay, maybe that does sound a little unbelievable, but Ethan believed him pretty quickly back at the factory. It all just doesn't make sense. Rose is going to play a big role in the next installment, which is fine. I'm just confused as to what she is exactly. Another con this game has is the unorthodox pattern of the 4 major areas. Lady Demetrius's and Heisenberg's areas were great and made for an amazing experience, but Moreau's and the Puppet Lady's areas were underwhelming for no real reason. The Duke is still a big ass question mark. I think the biggest problem this game has is the number of question marks surrounding it realistically, which is something Capcom likes to do, but I don't, so fuck you. It doesn't make things better when you realize they're most likely going to release the Resident Evil 4 and Code Veronica remakes before 9, so we'll have to wait a while for that, which isn't gonna be fun, but hopefully those 2 games make up the time. But this game was still a great one. Looks good, plays nice, the story is molded well enough that it's cohesive, and the horror aspect is on point. I made a video a long time ago where I assessed that very basically Village was the reason Resident Evil 3's remake wasn't worked on, and I still stand by that. There are parts of this game that feel rushed, and it would make sense that this is because both games were being worked on at the same time. Whether or not that's correct is up to Capcom to decide, but that's what I think. Do I think that this game will fill the void that Resident Evil 4's remake is going to cause? Yeah. Village is good, there's no doubt about that. And I personally believe that this game will be good enough to hold people off until the day that 4's remake hits the shelves. I'm gonna give this game a 7.5 out of 10. It was a great game with issues that hinder its future and story, but not to the point of desperation. Thanks for watching my Village review. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like, comment your thoughts on the game, and subscribe for more content. We need to get to 1,000 subscribers and we need to do it now. I promise new Persona content will be out soon enough to all my Persona fans, but this game was just too good not to review. Anyway, thank you all for tuning in, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.